I woke up about 5 years ago in a hotel room in San Francisco, and I kind of came to a sad and frightening realization. And the realization was that I was failing the students that I was teaching on the campus, and I was failing the mentors that I was actually coaching at the time of startup companies. What I failed to realize is the world had changed, and I hadn't changed along with it. The very things that had made me successful were not going to help these new founders and these students from being successful. And so the reason I was in San Francisco is I had taken a young startup company up there. I'd been working with them for about 2 years. We had written a business plan, we had moved carefully, we'd built prototypes, and we prepared ourselves by writing a plan and looking for investors for the next round of capital that this team would need, even though in the first year of full operation, they did about $200,000 worth of revenue. So we go up to this investor pitch meeting, and the team's doing really well, and then the investors start hammering the team on elements of the business plan that they had written about 8 months earlier. And I was sitting there watching this. The team was struggling with handling the investor questions, and what the investors hadn't realized is that the team had moved off the plan, and that they were iterating their business model based on feedback they were getting from their customers in the marketplace. They had created a kind of a niche little software tool, getting pretty good feedback. It was a niche, and so they moved gently off the direction they were heading because this was starting to prove to be something. And it was painful for me to watch. It was more painful for the team to watch because they were the only startup there that was actually had revenue, and yet they were being pounded into the ground pretty much like a tent peg. And so the founder came up to me afterwards, pretty crestfallen, and he said, "I don't understand. We're the only company here with $200,000 worth of revenue, and we just got hammered into the ground. What's going on?" And as he said that, I kind of stepped back and said, what was I doing now? Was I in the business of helping students create business plans and the theology of they needed money in order to create companies? I realized right then and then that I needed to question the validity of what I was doing. So this was the model in a simplified format of what I was used to. This is the model that I based my career on, and it was this notion of if you come up with a good idea, you write a business plan, right? X plus Y plus Z equals a business plan, and then you look for investor capital, however you might find that investor money, and that's how you launch a company. The problem with this model that I realized 5 years ago is that you can't move fast enough with this model. I mean, the world's moving too fast. There's too many new tools available, marketplace windows open and close, and this whole notion, if you look at some of the crowdfunding and other things that are occurring today, of absolutely needing investor money is absolutely not necessary. And so as I was looking at this, I started to understand that I needed to start teaching and mentoring the entrepreneurs I was working with to move faster, and this whole notion of failing fast is what started to fuel kind of my philosophy and how I mentor both founders and students in the classroom. One of the things that I decided to look at is if this is the problem, this traditional model, how do we move faster? Right? And it's this whole kind of lean mentality. You've been reading different books on lean, the startup philosophy, but if you've never started a company, you may or may not know exactly what that means, right? Well, what it means is you run like hell. That's what it means. And you don't have any money. And you take this philosophy of, by engaging in the marketplace, this is critical. If I had you work on a traditional business plan and told you you needed money in order to start a company, that would take about 11 months to prepare you. 5 to 6 months to write a plan, coach you up for investors, and what is it you're pitching to investors? What you want to build or what they want to hear to get funding, right? And so I came up with this lean model framework that I started using with mentors and with students in the classroom. And it's this notion of if you have an idea, if you have a good idea, you think it's a good idea. Somebody said before in the back room that, diamonds aren't pretty before they're pressured and polished, right? And so I believe ideas are valuable. But you have to balance the idea against a business model. And most entrepreneurs don't exactly know, or most people, what a business model is. I'll show you in a few minutes. But you have to take that idea, put it against a business model, and then take that business model idea and talk to 50 potential customers and say, look, this is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? And by doing that with either potential customers or perhaps distribution, folks in distribution, you start to get feedback. And so this is you're already in the market now. You've already taken a step forward. So if you have an idea this weekend and you created a business model around it, on Monday, you could be talking to 50 potential customers and saying, what do you think of this idea? Is this what you'd pay for it? Where would you expect to buy it? That's the beauty of this framework. The business model requires that you talk to customers immediately. So literally, I'm teaching students now on the campus in less than 8 weeks to iterate a business model against a real idea with 200 real customers, and we change the business model up to 3 times in that 8-week time period on real good ideas. And then if we were to move forward using almost no money, whether it's Photoshop or we have to create a real prototype, we do rapid prototyping, which could be a concept at this stage. It could be a prototype of something. Now you're showing the customers, okay, you've given me a number of feedback. Here's the product. Here's the product the way I believe it will go to market. Now give me more feedback. They give you feedback, you listen, you change. Now you go to distribution, you say, hey, I'd like to sell this one day, at your local store. What would it take for me to get this product into your local store, right? And you're getting feedback all the time, and then you're changing the model. This whole idea of customer truth is really critical in the model because a lot of times, especially entrepreneurs that I work with, they're so focused on what they want to deliver to the market, it's very hard for them to actually be listening to the customer, right? And so this is a model that I believe works. And if you look at the timeline, this is one of the things that just struck me, back in 2009. If you look at the timeline that it takes to work on something in traditional ways, it's so long. If you look at today's world, 2014, we're moving so fast. I'm seeing companies launched in 30 days now with, cloud-based tools, farmers markets, food trucks. I mean, whatever it might be, people are moving faster. And so they need a methodology and a tool set that's a little bit different from writing a business plan that, quite frankly, when you finish writing a business plan, the business plan is obsolete. Because if you wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, things have already changed. New competitors have moved in the marketplace is shifting, customer preferences are changing, a new trend might be popping up, it's moving too fast. And so what do you want to waste your time on? Do you want to waste your time engaging customers, having them check a prototype, getting feedback, and pivoting a model and going, holy crap, I might actually be onto something? Or do you want to let marketplace windows slip by? Do you want to learn how to pitch to investors for money you may or may not ever need, or to engage in the marketplace? Let me give you an example of what this looks like so that you don't sit here and go, well, come on. I mean, you're surrounded by entrepreneurs, this, that, and whatever. They're no different than you. Okay? As a matter of fact, the students that I work with on the campus, they don't have your years of experience or knowledge. They're 20 years old, and they're not afraid of eating top ramen, and they don't even know what failure is. They already feel they're at the bottom of the ecosystem. So to them, failure is an opportunity, to have fun. Okay? It's a different perspective. And I'm serious about this because their tolerance for risk is amazing. And somewhere after kindergarten, we got the tolerance for risk beat out of us. And so the example I have is we have a thing on the campus called Entrepreneur Day. And it's where we celebrate students selling something to students and staff. And we bring back alumni companies. Everyone's selling. Okay? And the goal is to show the campus that anyone can be an entrepreneur. The goal is not to sell stuff. They try to sell stuff. The goal is to have every student, all 15,000 that walk through our village, understand that they can create something too. That's the goal. So these 2 students come to me, they're sophomores. And they say, hey, we want to participate in Entrepreneur Day. I go, great. What do you got? They whip out their laptop, they show me. They go, we want to do sunglasses. And so I'm thinking like, well, does the world need another pair of sunglasses? But I don't say that. I am not judge and jury. The marketplace is judge and jury. I'm not judge and jury on any idea they have. I said, great, have you done a business model around it? Yes, we have. I said, great, can I see it? Business model, this is our target customer. We've talked to 100 people, mostly students. This is what they'd like to see. And what they discovered is that students wanted to buy replacement sunglasses for the expensive sunglasses that they lost when they were out doing what they do. So their price point was between $20 and $40, but they were designed gorgeously. They showed me the design on their laptop, and I was like amazed. I go, these sunglasses look amazing. I mean, they kind of look like $200 sunglasses. He goes, yeah, isn't it great? I said, okay, when do you want to be on Entrepreneur Day? Great, where are the sunglasses today? I said, oh, they're on the computer. I'm like, you haven't designed them, for real? No. Do you know how long it takes to design sunglasses? No. I go, okay, it takes longer than the 6 weeks we're at before Entrepreneur Day. And so they, looked a little crestfallen, and I said, I have an idea. And they said, what's your idea? How much money can you scrape together in the next week? And they look at each other, and they're like, $1,000. You chip in $500, I'll do $500. We'll get it. I said, okay, so you have $1,000. They said, yeah. I said, here's what I want to do. We're on a university campus where red and black are the university colors. What we'll do is we'll buy 150 pair of, we'll go offshore, we'll buy 150 pair of red sunglasses and 150 pair of black sunglasses. The sunglasses will be less than $3 each. What do you think you can sell them for? Well, we think we can sell them for $20. I said, great. I said, we need to place the order within the next week in order for them to possibly be here in the 6 weeks. And so they did that. They came in the day before, right? Meanwhile, they'd been doing a lot of marketing across the campus. They fired up their social media. They were visiting frats and sororities because that was their target audience. So they really knew their marketplace. They went to the bookstore. They looked at how sunglasses were being sold there. They came in. They did their booth. They were ready. In 2 hours, they were sold out. They sold all 300 pair in 2 hours. Now they had $6,000. So after they were done being giddy, and showing to me and the world that they were amazing entrepreneurs, I said, what will you do with the $6,000 now? And they said, I saw them the day after. They said, we already placed an order. I go, what do you mean you placed an order? Yeah, we bought another 2,000 pair. I go, 2,000 pair? I go, who are you going to sell 2,000 pair to? They go, we're on it. It took them 2 months to sell 2,000 pair. Now they had roughly $35,000, $38,000. This was just in 12 weeks. They started with 1,000. They did a crowdfunding platform. They took the design of their sunglasses. They went on a crowdfunding platform. In the next 30 days, they raised $36,000, which you could say is pre-sales, right, on a crowdfunding platform. But now they had almost $80,000. They took that money, they hired a designer, and they designed those beautiful pair of sunglasses that they showed me originally. I got an email from the founder yesterday. Didn't ask him for it. Matter of fact, I think about 12,000 people got that email. It was to celebrate their second year in business and the fact that they were now in 20 countries in over 1,000 stores. What they'd figured out, that price point of 30 to 40 with amazing design is what the marketplace wanted. And they're off and running. That is not an abnormal example. I see this all day long on the campus and in the community. If you're not in an entrepreneur network today and you want to be an entrepreneur, push yourself into an entrepreneur network so you're surrounded by people who are ready to move. Why was I encouraging them? I'm not going to lie to you, I thought they would fall flat on their face. But it's my job to move people, into a position where they get that opportunity. Failing fast is incredibly rewarding. As I look back, even on my own career, the risks that I took and the moves that I make in my career, that you could say some were based on instinct, some were based on opportunity. As I look back in my career, I can tell you the one thing that pushed me in my career was always accepting an opportunity and a challenge that took me to the edge of failure. I left really good jobs to go to startups. When that became bigger, I did something completely different. I was always testing my mettle. It was just about the experience of moving to the edge of failure that excited me. And I think you have to get comfortable with that. I wish we celebrated failure in this country. I was talking to a gentleman at 3M the other day who was on campus for a crowd fair, and I said, I love your company. And he goes, well, thank you. And I said, you know why I love your company? And he goes, because we're great? I go, no. I go, I know you're great, but I love your company because I know that your engineering teams get a celebration after a failed project. And I said, that's amazing. And he goes, yeah, if we didn't celebrate their failure, they'd quit. And we need them. We have as many as 3,000 projects going on at any one point in time. And as soon as they come off a failed project, they got to get on another one. Look at the statistics. If you have a fear of failure, get over it. Most companies fail. Okay? The closer you get to your customers, the higher your likelihood for success. Okay? And the more rapidly you prototype and test something, the higher your likelihood for success, even if you have to abandon your idea. Because if you get close to a customer and they hate your idea, well, don't do that. Don't waste the money, don't waste the time. Let me show you what this looks like in action. I went back to the team that we'd taken up to San Francisco. I'm still in very close contact with the team today. I just love their energy. I love the way they've pivoted several times. We met about 2 months afterwards. I flew back up to San Francisco. It was a total pity party. You know, they were like, we're not getting the money. We're not going to be anybody. And I was like, you know what? We don't need the money. I said, it's a big idea. You guys are aimed at a big platform. We know there's a big marketplace. What can we do to find out if we really are onto something big? And in that instance of what can we do, in less than 3 hours, we came up with a plan of what we could do. And what we could do is we could take this little niche piece of software, and we determined what we would need, an intern and a freelance programmer, about $10,000, and we would completely redesign this software, and we would aim it at a bigger part of the market that was right next to where we were, right? And so that's what we ended up doing. So we stepped back and we said, okay, no more talking to investors. None. Don't take a call from an investor. Don't be enthralled with the magic and the mystery and the sexiness of someone calling you. Don't even don't return their phone calls. Well, I'm getting messages other people want, don't return them. I said, we are moving without money, or as little money as possible now. We threw away the business plan. We literally burned it in his fire pit. We just said, this thing is holding us back. This is a live model that you see of a business model on a wall that we were creating about what are all the elements of the business, what is the product, who are the target segments, what are we creating, how are we unique, how are we different, how are we going to price it, how are we going to distribute it. We went into a war room and just created the new company, so to speak. And when we were done, we were like, okay, we're done. 30 days, we're going to have this product. We're going to test it with customers. Yes, we are. Okay, and I flew out of San Francisco. I said, good. In 30 days, I'm coming back. So, here's the beauty. We have no plan. We have $10,000, and we're going to build a prototype. They finished the prototype in 30 days. They went back and talked to about 150 customers that were using their previous product, and now they were showing them something completely different, way more powerful. And the response was enthusiastic, right? And so they're reading me all these comments that they're getting, right, from their meetings and email, and they're doing private Skypes, and they're showing people the product around the world, by the way. And as I'm listening to all this, I'm hearing what they're saying, and I'm catching a couple of customer comments. And they're ready to go. They're ready to go, and I'm like, but is this really a niche market? I mean, this is a niche market. We had one niche tool, now we have a bigger niche tool. The marketplace is huge. There's 44 million people using this platform that we're trying to design something for. What if we step back and what if we aim a little bit bigger? And the founder looks at me and goes, Bern, we're onto something. Why don't you just be a good mentor and advisor and fly back down to San Diego and let us build this company? And I was like, no. I go, let me tell you what you're not seeing. And I started pointing it out, and he was like, so you want us to pivot again and iterate this prototype that we just spent 30 days, working extremely hard to build? And I go, yeah. And I looked at him and I said, how long will you live? And he said, well, with parts, I'll probably live to be 80 or 90 years old. I go, how old are you now? He's like, I'm 27. I said, if this fails, you'll have the rest of your life to work. Let's go. Let's go big, or let's go home. We're onto something now. They did it. Next 30 days, they change it again. They go back out. They test it with customers. Customers are, quite frankly, amazed. The feedback that we were getting is amazing. More importantly, the decision we made to build something that was better than a good thing that had already been built led to a couple of patents. We discovered by going down the path that we could patent a couple things that they were doing, seemingly small but very critical, that we could protect. And rather than just we're a one-off software tools company, now we're becoming a platform. And we have something we can protect, and that's going to be very valuable. Nobody's filed patents on these two simple things you're doing. Okay. This year they'll do 1.6 million in revenue. They're still lean. There's only 4 of them. They're running like hell, but they're onto something now. Okay? This was the tool that we used. It's one tool in the Lean Model Framework. In 2011, in that whole period of 9 to 11, I quite frankly was in a quandary. At that very time, I was teaching a business plan class at San Diego State. And I was basically teaching a 10-week class on how to write a business plan. And so the thing that made it amazing to me is I was basically still contributing to people's potential failure. So I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore, but I didn't know what to do. So the linchpin for my epiphany was reading a book by Alex Osterwalder, who wrote Business Model Generation. And when I saw this canvas, I realized that it had a tool that was amazing. This is the tool that we use inside the framework. This is the framework today. If you think about what you could do and why failing fast is good, with the mentality of failing fast, most people, matter of fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say most of you are not going to create a company. And the thing that's holding you back, you're either looking for something perfect or it's your fear of failure. And you have to embrace the notion of, I want to move into a marketplace, I want to test and do an idea where I'm moving so fast that I trip over something, and that something could become a company. I'm no longer in the business of teaching students and mentoring people on the business of creating business plans and looking for investor money. This whole notion of failing fast and winning big is one that has a lot of merit. My advice to you is if you want to be an entrepreneur, then be one. Thank you.